Monday again. Thanks again for taking the time to be here. I'm Coach Anderson, and today we've got percent basics. So remember, today in today's class that you're watching right now, this is going to be going over basically the essentials of learning percents. Every which way you should know how to calculate. Then tomorrow, or in the next lesson, what you're going to see is we're going to be going over percent word problems. So that's going to include taxes, discounts, taxes and discounts in the same exact problem, and other percent type problems. So everybody go ahead. Let me go ahead and just remind everybody, when it comes to word problems, we're doing two things. We're always first translating English into math. And then number two is actually doing the calculations with that math. So that's why we're splitting things up into 1 and 2. That way you can go ahead and be assured that you know what's going on now going into word problems, so that when we go to the calculations, you're fine. When it comes to the words, we'll have extra time to sit back and learn what's going on. So here are the 4 main goals we're going to have today. Number 1, very simple, right? How to compute the percent of a number. That's going to be very straightforward. I know a lot of us have seen it before, but have we had all that practice? That's what we're going to get into. And so we're going to learn how to compute the percent of a number, but even better, we're going to be looking at mental math strategies that are really going to help us save time on some convenient situations. So here's a very, very clear example that I can give from what I know so far. Everyone, when it comes to calculating, let's say 50%, everyone, can you tell me what 50% of anything sounds like? When we're taking 50%. So look at that. Saying that, well, 50%, I associate that with half. Absolutely correct. Because remember that 50% is out of 100%. Any percent is out of 100%. I might in a few moments to have you pop quizzed. But essentially, some of you guys already know this intuitively. If I'm looking at calculating 50% of something, I don't always have to calculate this straightforward way with 50%. If I know that 50% just means half, take half the number. That's it. And if you see that it's convenient to do that mentally, it's going to be a great opportunity for you to save time. Yes or no, everybody? Does that make a little more sense? Perfect. So that's the idea, my party people. Again, we're going to learn convenient situations so that way we can save time. Next up, over here. Yeah, iPhone, it can be, and we're going to go over that too. So working backwards to find the original number. Again, a lot of people already struggle going the forward way, but we're also going to learn how to go backwards. That's going to be very important for us today. And also, not just going backwards to find the original number, working backwards to find a percent. Again, something that's very uncomfortable for a lot of people, but we're going to take care of business. So that's it right there. That's what we're going to be learning mainly today. And again, tomorrow, we're transitioning into applying all of this right there in the word problems to have a good time. So let's start with these notes. Pop quiz. Everyone, percents are out of what? What does the word percent mean? Out of what? And you might see a lot of people in the chat box right now typing in the number 100. 100 or 100, depending on who you are. But yeah, it's going to be 100. And so I want to make sure I identify why that is the case. But first, let's write that down. Percent means out of 100. Out of 100%. So here's one way to look at it. Everybody, the word percent, let's break it down. Let's break down the word percent. Everybody, what does the word per mean? What does the word per mean? Yeah, the word per can mean a few different things. It can mean each, out of, for every. It can mean a couple of those things. And we can say out of. And everybody, think about it like this. What's the next part of that word? Cent. Everybody, how many cents are in a dollar? 100, right? 100 cents makes a dollar. 50 cents is half a dollar, 75 cents, 90, but 100 cents ultimately makes a dollar. And that's why it is the way it is. Percent, it basically means out of 100. Long story short, right there. And that's why what you're going to see every time we're talking about the original number, we are going to be saying 100%. When we're talking about the original number, what represents the original number is 100%. Okay, so keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and review really quick how to do these calculations, how to actually work forward real quick. And then we're going to do some examples. I'll let you try some things out. We'll see how we're doing, and we'll keep getting more practice. So to find the percent of a number, let me zoom in just a little bit here so you can write this down right there. So step number one, to find the percent of a number, what we're going to do is we're going to convert the percent to a decimal. And pretty much what that means is moving that decimal place over 2 times to the what? What do I say here? 2 times to the left. That's right. 2 times to the left. Write that down. When you want to convert a percent to a decimal, you move the decimal to the left 2 times. Now, the reason why you're doing that is simply this. When you're turning a percent to a decimal, you're going to basically say, hey, it's out of 100. Quick question, everybody. What does the word or phrase out of mean in math again? When you say out of, what does that typically mean? Yeah, typically we're dividing. And so if I'm saying, in this example that we have here, we have 50%. Well, 50% of 20, you have to first turn that 50% into a decimal. So check this out right here. Let me just go ahead and show you. Notice how it turns into that. And so really what happens in terms of the shortcut sense is this. You say, hey, 50%. And I'm going to grab the decimal right there and go 1 space, 2 spaces to the left. And you call that 0.5. 0.50 is the same as 0.5, same stuff. But that's essentially what's going on. Now, the reason that happens is because of this. Out of 100 means divide by 100. So here's what we'll do. If I took, and let me just show you the boring way. I'm going to do that right over here so I have enough space. If I'm turning 50% to a decimal, that's going to be 50 divided by 100. Let me go ahead and slowly go through this. And I'm going to show you the long way. But again, the shortcut method is just moving the decimals over. 100 divided into 50. That won't work, so we're going to need a decimal and some extra zeros just to finish it off. Everyone, quick question. 100 can't go into 5, can't go into 50. So I got to go to the next one, the 500 here. Everyone, how many times does 100 go into 500? Help me out there. Right, it's going to be 5 times. So it's going to be 0 here, 0 there. So we can just erase one of those zeros. And then 100 goes into 500 5 times. And then that's going to be a clean 500 because 100 times 5 is 500. That's it. That's all we really did. That's all we did. But instead of doing that over and over and over again, when you're dividing by 100, that's just saying, hey, I got 2 zeros in that 100. Move that decimal over 2 times. Just take a look. We went from here to here. It simply got moved over. Yes or no, does that make sense, everybody? Does that make sense? When you're converting a percent to a decimal, yeah, the idea is that we're dividing by 100 to turn it over. But the shortcut is just move that decimal to the left 2 times. That's it. And that's something you can memorize. That's not anything that you really need to, memorize, or truly, completely understand every nook and cranny of. As long as you understand that, you have enough to work with. Cool. All right. So that's the shortcut is simply turning the decimal over 2 times to the left. Now, pop quiz time, because I told you that we're going to be working backwards in this class today. If we're working backwards and we're already dealing with the decimal and we want to turn it back to a percent, what do you think we might need to do? What do you think we might need to do? Multiply by 100. And everybody, what's a shortcut rule for multiplying by 100? If dividing by 100 is moving the decimal twice to the left, what would multiplying by 100 do? Jonathan, that's what's up. Yeah, it would move it 2 places to the right. That's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and go through this calculation here so I can show you exactly how this would go from start to finish. So here we go. Let me just move a little bit there. Let's start off with this example right over here. Step 1. We have the math that we need to do. It says 50% of 20. Okay. Quick question, everybody. The first thing you need to do is turn that percent into a what again? Help me out. The first thing I need to do is turn that percent into a what? I like these responses so far. I'll give you a few more seconds. Yep, we got to turn that percent into a decimal. Have to do that. And so that's why we start off by looking right over here at that 50%. And remember, all we're saying is we're dividing it by 100 or just moving the decimal place 2 times to the left. And that's why we see this here going 1, 2. So we have 0.5, 0.50, whatever way you want to say it. It's the same exact thing. 0.50 and 0.5, same thing. And just a quick question. Did everybody here know that these are the same? 0.50 and 0.5, same thing. You don't need to write all the extra zeros down after the decimal place. You don't. Cool, great. So there we have it. So step 1, convert that decimal to convert that percent into a decimal. And then from there, we can do the math. Now, when we do the math, let's go ahead and have some fun here. Again, we can stay 0.50 or 0.5. It's the same thing. So I'm going to save you some time here on the side. 20 times 0.5. Everyone, when it comes to multiplying decimals, what's the first thing we always do when we multiply by decimal? Yeah, let me remind you, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to ignore the decimal. Let me move this over, down over, up over here. We're going to go ahead and just ignore, step number 1, ignore decimal. Just multiply. Just multiply. So let's go ahead and do that here. So right here, we're going to have 0 times 5. 0 times 5, that's going to be 0. Then we have 2 times 5, and that's going to end up being, well, 10. So we'll write 10 down. So that's step number 1. Ignore the decimal, just multiply. Step number 2, we're going to go ahead and bring all the decimals back. Bring the total number of decimals back. So bring the total number of decimals back. Okay, there it is. So everybody, in your opinion, or as you observe here, how many decimals do we have total between the 20 and the 0.5? How many decimal places total? Yeah, we're getting it. Yep, there is just one decimal place. And let me show you. Right here, we're going to have, for the 20, we're going to have no decimal places because the 20 is just 20. There are no decimals there. And then we have the 0.5, which is 1. So we have a total of 1 decimal. We bring that back, and we get 10 right there. So the answer here, there it is. That's how we get 10 in this problem. So it's really procedural. Let me just remind you guys like how procedural this actually is. Multiplying decimal or multiplying by a percent. Turn the percent to a decimal and multiply. That's it. Working backwards, 2 more steps too. Divide, then turn the decimal back into a percent. We'll go over that in a bit though. But for now, does it make sense in terms of the procedure? When you're multiplying a percent, first turn the percent to a decimal, do your thing after that. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come back to this page in a bit, but for now, we're good. But when we start talking about shortcuts, I hope that you already start noticing something convenient about this that we'll come back to in a bit. But let's go ahead and come right back over here and talk about the formula that you're going to be using for the majority of this, because this formula works forward, backwards. It's all just the same. So please go ahead and write this down. The formula that we'll be using is the percent times the original equals the result. Again, the percent times the original equals the result. Landa, that's not going to be correct. So the percent is basically a representation of a number or a ratio, which, again, you don't need to know all the nooks and crannies of it, but percents and cents are different. The word cent, though, that suffix with it, in that sense, it clues you in to why it's 100. So good stuff there. I think we're good on the questions. Cool. Yeah, so the original number of what you're given. So I can give you a couple of examples here when it comes to this next slide. So when we're taking the percent of a number, That's the original number that we're taking the percent of, and we'll get the result. There are some times where they can ask you, pay attention, in one way they can say, what's 20% of 50? Well, 20% of the original 50. But they could say, hey, 20% of what number is 60? So in that case, you're working backwards because you don't know what the original is. And I'm going to talk a lot about this in tomorrow's class because we're going to be having word problems, and this will fit a lot more in context. But for right now, the number that you're taking the percent of, we're going to consider that the original number. One more time. The number that we're taking the percent of, we're always going to consider that the original number. So right here, I'm going to write this down for you. The original is what you're taking the percent of. Taking the percent of. So with that said, we can write, let's say, 50% of 20. That right there, that is your original. Because again, it's what you're applying the percent on. It's what you're taking the percent of. Yes or no? Does that make a little more sense? Excellent. Sounds good, sounds good, sounds good. Okay. So one last thing I just want to kind of make you privy to, make you aware of before we move on is just the idea between going forward and backwards. Everybody, quick question. So when you're looking at this right here, what do you notice? What do you notice? What operation is happening between the percent and the original always? What operation is always happening? I got you, Leah. Right. So what we see here is that we are multiplying. So if you're taking the percent of the original number, you're going to multiply, and whatever you get, that's the result. But remember, everybody, they're not always going to give you the original and the percent. Sometimes they might have you work backwards. Sometimes you might need to find the percent or find the original. But I want you to notice, remember that this is an equation. True or false, everybody. When it comes to solving an equation, like let's say for percent or original, is it true that solving an equation has us work backwards? Is that true? Yeah. When we're working backwards with equations, typically you're going to do the opposite operation. So because you see that we're multiplying to go forward, what operation do you think is going to happen working backwards? Exactly. Division. So the main thing that you're going to have to learn outside of learning how to multiply and divide by decimals is going to be with word problems. It's going to be identifying what number is the original, what number is the result, what number is the percent. Being able to be good at identifying each piece of the puzzle, it's going to spell success. And just to prove the point, yes or no, everybody, is it true that when you're using formulas, not just this, but distance, rate, time, the slope formula, whatever it is it true that you have to know where each piece of information goes, or else you'll be wrong? Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad that you guys absolutely inherently get that. And that's why I'm taking my time setting this up for you now. That way, when we come into class tomorrow and we start throwing in word problems, you'll be able to say, oh, yeah, that is the original. Oh, yeah, that is the result. Oh, yeah, that is the decimal or percent. Got to make sure we know that. So let me go and zoom on out again. And remember again, the original is always what we're taking the percent of. That's what we need to know there. It's going to pop up in a few moments. That's really it. Working forward, we're multiplying. Working backwards, we're dividing. And it's just going to be a nice practice in here today. I got you. When you're ready, go ahead and type ready in the chat box, and we're going to move in just about 10, 15 seconds. Because I'm sure you guys are ready to start hitting the ground running, calculating. I know. I got you, Leah. I'll give you a few more moments. And if you want to, take a screenshot, and then and we're good. I'll give you 10 more seconds. Put me in, coach. I got you, Jessica. Hope you're doing well today. How old am I? I mean, I'm 42. So, take that as you will. Take that as you will. I'm also a pathological liar. I am not 42. So with that, let's go ahead and move forward here. Hopefully give you enough time, Aaliyah. So let's go ahead and go through some of these practice, some of these guided warm-ups here. It's all good, Gina. I just like making conversation. So let's go ahead and get started here, everybody. Let's start off with this first one, the 3% of 64. So everybody, what did I always say? You're always taking the percent of which number, the original or the result? You're always taking the percent of the original or the result. Right, exactly. You're always taking the percent of the original. But here's another way to really show this to yourself so you know you're doing the right thing. So for example, yes or no, have you ever been in a position where you're not quite sure whether you're doing something right or wrong when it comes to a formula? Have you ever been in a position where I learned it, but I have no idea if I'm still doing it right? Right? It's happened, right? But we want to be able to find ways to guarantee that we know what we're doing. And this is where having a conversation about math really, really, really does help. So one more time, conversating about the math is going to help you out a lot. Here's the example. We're taking 3% of 64. Quick question, everybody. What does the word of mean in math? Not out of. What does the word of mean in math? Rodney, Gina, Camille, Jessica, Lewis, Remy, exactly, multiplication. If I say, give me 5 of those 3s, that's going to be 15 because you're multiplying. Right here, 3% of 64, this translates to 3% multiplied by 64. And remember, you're always multiplying the percent by the original number, just like that. So yes or no, does that make a little more sense, everybody? The word of means multiply, so that's how you can remember. Oh yeah, the percent is being multiplied by the original number. Exactly, Dominic. So remind me, my party people, now that we're here, now that we understand that this means multiply, do I just multiply 3 by 64, or is there something I got to do first? Is there something I got to do first? I love it, guys. You guys say, no, coach, we have to turn it into a decimal. We have to make sure that that percent turns into a decimal because that's what's going to allow us to do the multiplication. Great. Sounds good. So everybody, is this correct here? Is this correct? 0.3 times 64. Is that correct? Okay, I see some yeses. I see a lot of no's. Man, y'all seem to be very combative with me today. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Yeah, we got to move that decimal place over 2 times, not just once, twice. Let me go ahead and show you the example. So let me erase this for you so I can show you exactly how to get it done. So let's say we have 3% right here, right? We got that 3%. That decimal is going to appear right there. Right there. Let's zoom on in even better here. Let me show you. Everybody, we said move that decimal place over 2 times. Sounds good. 1 and then 2. So here's where that decimal is going to be. Who knows what we're supposed to do with that empty space? What are we supposed to put in there? Yeah, we're going to be putting in zeros there. So just 1, because we see it's only 1 space that we don't see anything for. There's a 0. So we can call it 0.03 or 0.03, whichever way you want to say it. But there it is. You're not going to just ignore that 0 because it's not at the end. It's in between. You don't ignore those. So that's why, again, you move the decimal place over twice, not once. 1, 2, boom. If there's a space between that decimal and the number, you'll fill in the 0 there. If there's 2 spaces, put 2 zeros. But that's essentially what you want to do. No, Aaliyah, so we're going to move 2 decimals to the right when we're turning the percent back to a decimal. If we ever have to do that, wink, wink, we will at some point. But again, that's to turn the decimal back into a percent. So hopefully that works out for you, because now we're going to see that we have, again, 0.03, and that's how we're going to go ahead and multiply. Before I continue, though, really quick, are we good to go? Does this make sense? It's not going to be 0.3. It's going to be 0.03. So it's not going to be 0.3. It's going to be 0.03. 2 decimal places to the left to turn it over. Great. Sounds great. So here we go. Let's multiply the 64 times 0.03. And let's see if we got it down. See if you can follow along. If you want to work ahead, feel free. I got you. Let's go. So let me move this over here. And I'm going to do, again, 64 times 0.03. So, again, step one, ignore the decimals. Don't worry about them. We'll deal with those in a bit. You're good. Here we go. 4 times 3, that's going to be 12. Carry the 1. Then we have 6 times 3, that's going to be 18. Carry the 1, that's going to give us 19. Okay, so we have 192. Are we done? We have 192. No. What do we have to do when we multiply by decimals? What do we have to do at the end? Exactly. We got to bring back all the decimals. So everybody, how many decimals are there in the 64? How many decimals are there in the 64? Pay attention to the question. Yeah, it's going to be 0. There are none. It's right here. There's that decimal place. There's nothing there. There's nothing to move. But then we have the decimal place here for the 0.03. How many decimal places is that? Yeah, that's going to be 2 decimals here. 1, 2. And there we go. We have 2 decimals. And so we'll go 1, 2. Right there. 1.92. And there it is. 3% of 64 equals 1.92. Did anybody here get that right before I finished? Hey, right on, Dominic. And even if you didn't, again, we got plenty of practice. We got plenty of time to practice that we're going to get to try out. But I want to make sure I address one big piece of information here. So I don't want you to conflate or mix the procedures. You're always to convert a percent to a decimal over here. To convert that percent to a decimal, you are always moving that decimal to the left 2 times. Always. When you're multiplying by decimals, as you see up here, the number of times that you move depends on the total number of decimals. So it was convenient. It was coincidental that we moved it twice here. It just so happened that we have a total of 2 decimals. For example, if I showed you this, if I said, hey, 17 times 0.4, if we have that, we're only moving 1 decimal place. Only just 1. If you look at another example and I say, hey, we have 1.35 times 0.62. Everyone, how many times are we moving the decimal place here? Exactly, 4 total times, because what we have here, my party people, is 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would be 4 decimal places. So yes or no, everybody, does that make sense? The number of decimals that you move when you are multiply explicitly depends on the total number of decimals. That's it. The number of decimals that you use when multiplying just depends on the total number of decimals. When it comes to converting a percent to a decimal, always going to be 2 times, because it's out of 100, 2 zeros. That's it. But it depends on when you multiply. You just look at the total. It's one of the biggest questions I usually get. So I want to make sure I handle that and tackle that now. That way, when we do make a mistake, if we do make it, we can say, oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's what matters. So we can make those corrections. So with that, let's go ahead and show these other 4 examples. So I want you guys to go ahead and pick one. Just pick one of these. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to try it out. And then we're going to go over all of them. So let me go ahead and bring my timer up right over here. And the timer's already started. So feel free, pick one of these and go ahead and try it out. So there's my timer. Booyah. Feel free. Go ahead. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. Any one of these that you want to do, give it a shot. So Joshua, do you mean how come you don't have to multiply the bottom? I mean, we are multiplying. The top times the bottom, we're just using that long multiplication method, but we are. And again, if you have any questions, ask them in the chat box. I got you. I'm more than happy to answer them. That's definitely going to be how we grow as a team here. And when you're ready, just type ready in the chat box. Yeah. Perfect. We still got a minute left. You're good. Take your time, check your work. And just checking the YouTube comment section. Good luck, Mike. Vivian, good luck. Fadima, good luck tomorrow. I got you. Perfect. It's got 40 seconds here. Okay, Samson, I see you with the confidence. All right. All right. All right. Let's see what we got. 30 seconds here. So hopefully we've had a chance to try at least one of them. Again, the procedure is going to be turn that percent to a decimal first. We have a procedure for that. Then multiply, right? This is going forward. This is going forward here. 15 seconds. Right, yeah, exactly. Just choose one to try out. If you have a chance, try another one out. So 4 seconds here, 3, 2, and 1. So in the chat box, let me know. How many of these were you able to try? The first, the second, all three of them. How many were you able to try confidently? All of them. First one, all of them. The second one, the third, two of them, just one. 3, 2, all. Okay, cool. So it looks like we're a little ambiguous in terms of where we are in terms of our skill sets, which is perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Let me get the timer out of the way. And let's go ahead and remember that all we're doing here is if we weren't confident, let's find ways that we can become confident. Find ways to be able to talk about this. For example, everybody, when I said the word of, what does the word of mean when it comes to math? Right. That means multiplication. So having that conversation, knowing that when we say, hey, 31% of 24, what does that really mean? That really means 31 what 24? 31 what 24? 31% times 24. Exactly. Again, the word of, it means you're multiplying. Then we need to make sure we turn that decimal or that percent to a decimal. So we're going to move that decimal place 2 times to the what? 2 times to the what? Exactly, 2 times to the left. 2 times to the left. So this is going to turn into, let me just make sure I get this arrow right. There we go. That's going to turn into 0.31. 1 time to the left, 2 times to the left. Everything you own in the box to the left. That's right. So 0.31 times 24. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and calculate. That's it. So here we go. 24 multiplied by 0.31. Very straightforward. Very straightforward here. So I'm glad you guys are having fun. So here, 4 times 1 is 4. Then 2 times 1 is 2. So far, so good. Next up, we're going to go ahead and put a 0 out there. And then we see 4 times 3. That'll be 12. Carry the 1. Then we have 2 times 3. That's 6. Carry the 1. That's 7. Okay, cool. So now what we'll do is, again, just like regular old multiplication, we'll add everything up at the end. And we have 4 plus 0, that is 4. 2 plus 2, that is 4. 7 plus nothing, that's 7. What's the one thing I forgot at the end, everybody? I multiplied by a decimal. What do I got to do now? What do I have to do now? Exactly. Bring the decimals back. How many total decimals do we have here? How many total decimals do we have? How many? 2. Yeah, we're going to have 2. Notice that, again, conveniently, by coincidence, it's 2 here. But that's not what you're always going to be doing. You need to count the decimals. So if you look at the 24, you have no decimal places. The 31, 1, 2. 2 total decimals. 2 decimals, and so we'll go 1, 2, boom. And so the answer is 7.44. Is this making a little more sense for some folks here? Is this making a little more sense here? Good. Cool. Again, remember that there's going to be a lot more to learn, but I'm glad that you're building up this confidence because remember, if you can learn how to talk about the fundamentals, when things get tougher, if you stick to your fundamentals, it'll still make sense. No matter how big the numbers get, no matter how we throw in the word problems, if you understand your fundamentals, things stay doable, possible. I'm not going to say it's always going to be easy, but it's always going to be doable if you know your fundamentals. So next up, let's take a look at 10% of 35. Let's go a little faster here. First step is understanding again that of means multiply. So let me just go ahead and start off by writing that there. Now, the second thing I'm going to write down is let's just start off by turning that percent to a decimal. We have 10%. Everybody, that's going to end up being 0.01, correct? Right? All right, so you're going to learn one thing that I do as a teacher is I am going to make mistakes on purpose. So I want you guys to be able to spot mistakes. Spotting mistakes is a show of mastery. Here's why it's actually not going to be 0.01. All we need to do is move the decimal over twice to the left. And so following that procedure, here we go. We have right there 1, 2, and there's your decimal place. So it shouldn't be 0.01. It should just be 0.10, just like that. And question, everybody, 0.10, what's an easier way to write that, a simpler way to write that we said? 0.10 is the same thing as what? Rodney, appreciate that. 0.10 is the same as 0.1. It's the same as 0.1. Now, I like doing that. I like simplifying this or just making it easier to look at because it gives you less digits to multiply by. It gives you a much easier time for sure. So there you go. We have 0.1 times 35. And look at how straightforward this might be. So right over here, 35 times 0.1. Wow, that's going to be pretty tough. 5 times 1, that's going to be 5. 3 times 1, that's going to be 3. Everyone, how many total decimal places are we moving back? How many total decimal places here? Just one. Just one. Because when you take a look at the 35, nothing to do there. You take a look at the 0.1, that's 1. So we have 1 total decimal place. Boom. The answer is 3.5. And there we are. Now, one thing I want to point out here is this, everybody. Everybody, when you're looking forward, if I'm trying to look at 10% in terms of comparing it to 100%, how do you go from 100% down to 10% with multiplication or division? Like, what do I do to 100 to get down to 10%? No, only with multiplication or division. Let's not think about addition or subtraction because percents are relationships with multiplication or division or scaling. So how do I go from 100% down to 10 with multiplication or division? Which operation and what number? Mohammed, thank you. Divide by 10. You notice anything here? I want you to start noticing that if you're looking at 10% of any number, that's the same as dividing by 10 because remember, the original is 100. The original number is 100%. So I'm going from 100 and only doing 10% of that. That's dividing by 10. And guess what? 35 divided by 10 is 3.5. It is. In the same way, everybody, in the same way that we were looking at 50% over here, well, how do you go from 100% to 50%? Well, you cut it in half. You divide by 2. And guess what we saw over here? We went from 20, the original number, and 50% of that, or half of that, being 10. Is anyone here starting to see the relationship between the percent and the final number? And not everybody has to get it, but I'm glad that a few of us here are getting it. Because I'm trying to set up the shortcuts that I'm going to show you in a few moments. 50%, well, that's 100 divided by 2. So boom, divide by 2. If we're doing 10%, 100 divided by 10 gives you 10. So divide by 10. That's a shortcut. Everybody, what number do you think you're going to divide by as a shortcut to 25%? If I say 25%, what number do you think you're going to divide by? Not quite 10, not 0.25. Oh, Clyde, you're right. You're going to multiply by 0.25. But a shortcut is dividing by 4. Because think about it, everybody. How do I go from 100 down to 25? Only using division. How do I go from 100 down to 25? Yeah, that's 4. 4 quarters in a dollar, right? There's 4 quarters in the dollar. 0.25 or 25%. That's the same as dividing by 4. Let me prove it to you. We're going to go ahead and scroll down to this next problem here. No, lambda, when it comes to the final answer, you can have the 2 decimal places for sure, but you can go ahead and get rid of any unnecessary zeros whenever you want to. It's at the end that you have to bring them back, but it's no worries. So, everybody, what should the answer be here, assuming we're doing it the right way? We said that 25% is the same thing as dividing by 4, because again, the original is 100, down to 25%, that's dividing by 4. What happens if we divide 44 by 4? What happens? Okay, let's see if we get 11. I'm going to say 11. I'm going to put a question mark next to it. I'm going to put a question mark next to it because I said that 25%, 100 divided by 4 equals 25. So let me go ahead and do that. Divide by 4. We got 11. Let's see if that's the case. Everyone, let's do it the forwards traditional way. Let's see what's going on. What's the first thing I do to that 25%, everybody? What's the first thing I do? Right, we're going to turn it into a decimal. Let's convert that thing. So 25%, we'll grab that decimal place right here. 1, 2 times to the left. So 25% turns into 0.25 or 0.25, whichever way you want to say it. I use a 0 so I know where the decimal is. And then next, the word of means multiply. And then we have the 44. Okay, there we have it. Up next, let's go ahead now and perform the multiplication. Here we go. 44 multiplied by 0.25. Let's get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and use light blue for the first round. So 4 times 5, that's going to be 20. Carry the 2. Then we have 4 times 5 again. 20, carry the 2 is 22. Okay. Next up, I'll go ahead and draw my 0 for the next round here. So I'll put a red 0 right there. Then we have 4 times 2, that's going to be 8. And then we have 4 times 2, and that's going to be 8. Okay, you might be looking at this and you might say, Coach, how does that equal 11? Hold on, my child. Here we go. 0 plus 0 is going to be 0. Let me use a different color there. So we're going to have 0 plus 0 equals 0. 2 plus 8 equals 10. And then 2 plus 8 equals 10. Carry the 1 is 11. Everyone, how many decimal places are we bringing back? It's going to be 2. It's going to be 2. Check this out here. We have 0 decimals there. That's just 44. And then we're going to have 0.25. So we have 1, 2. So we have 2 decimal places total. And we'll go 1, 2. The answer is 11. Look at that. Look at that. What do you guys notice about this? What do you notice about what we did here and what we did before we calculated? What do you notice? Right. It's the same thing. So if you notice, 25% is a pretty convenient number because if you're trying to take the original number that represents 100%, if you're doing 25% of it, you're basically saying from 100 down to 25, that's dividing by 4. So the shortcut, you can just divide by 4. That's the shortcut when it's 25%. When it's 10%, the shortcut is divide by 10. If it's 50%, the shortcut is to divide by 2. It's all about referencing that original 100%. Yes or no, does that make a little more sense? It's all about referencing the original 100%. Because to go from the original to the result, from 100% to 25%, divide by 4. It's the same idea here. Same idea. So with that, how are we feeling about this first set of problems? Are we feeling pretty good, feeling pretty bad, feeling like we need more practice? How are we feeling? Because remember, knowing how to do it this way it's going to more or less spell out how successful you'll be when we work backwards. Working backwards is going to be a pretty interesting part of this class today. Yeah, that's right. That is correct. Menelek, yeah. So this works for specific situations where going from 100% down to that percent is convenient enough. That's all it is. Zara, make your life easy. Hey, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to make dreams come true, right? So here we go. Let's go ahead and take a look at this little sheet here to look at convenient percents. So let's take a look first right up here. That didn't work out the way I thought it would. So with that, let me go ahead and erase this. That was hilarious. All right, so let's look at some convenient mental math percentages. Everyone remember, it's all about referencing the original 100%. So if I'm looking at 1%, if I'm taking 1% of something, I can go from 100 down to 1 by dividing by 100. So when you take a look at this, 1% is the same thing as dividing by 100. It's the same thing as dividing by 100. If you take a look at 2%, well, everybody, how do you go from 100? What do you divide by to get down to 2? You divide by 50. So 2 fits into 100 50 times. So 2% is the same thing as dividing by 50. Let's take a look at some of the more common ones that we know. Before we go into all of these, let's just take a look at these bigger ones just to make sure you understand. 50%. Again, 50 fits into 100 2 times. So if you're taking 50%, divide by 2. If you're taking 25%, like we just saw, that fits into 100 4 times. So going down from 100 to 25, same thing as dividing by 4. For 20%, everybody, how many times does 20 fit into 100? Help me out. How many times does 20 fit into 100? Right, 25 fits in 4 times. Ask about 20, not 25, 20. 20 fits into 100 5 times. And because of that, taking 20%, same thing as dividing by 5. Now, yes or no, everybody? It's all good, Gina. You're good. So my next question is, do you think that this is convenient to know? Is this useful to know? Oh, absolutely. If you want to screenshot it, go ahead. If you want to take a screenshot, go ahead. Now, I'm going to put this up here in the top left. I'm going to go ahead and let this person into the room. All right. Just to show you like one example that makes this all worth knowing is, here's an easy example. It could be this. Hey, find 25% of 848. Does anyone here want to actually do 0.25 times 848? Does anybody here want to do that? No, not at all. But if you know that 25% is the same thing as just dividing by 4, well, you can actually do some mental math because 800 divided by 4 is 200. 48 divided by 4 is 12. That becomes 212 automatically with mental math. Just like that. Just like that. So that's the idea, guys. You should always learn different techniques. I'm not saying that there's one way to do it all. What I am saying is by knowing different techniques, you'll see when one technique is better geared for a certain problem to give you a moment of convenience so you can save time on the ASVAB. That's really it. Yeah, that's really it. That's the purpose of learning these shortcuts. So far, has this been worth it to you, everybody? Be honest. So far, has this been worth knowing? Cool. All right, sounds good. Let's go ahead now and get a little more practice. I would love for you guys to see if this becomes any easier for you while you practice this. Go ahead. We have 6 problems. I'm going to give you 2 minutes again. And this time, I want you to strive for getting maybe 2, maybe 3 of these. Try to get half of them. So here's another one. Ignacio, no worries. Go ahead and try it out the normal way, converting the decimal and then multiplying. Try that out first. And I'm going to review with you how those convenient moments apply here. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and try your best here. I got you. Let me get the timer back up. And timer started. So feel free, guys. Go ahead. Type ready in the chat box when you're ready. And I'll be back right when the timer's done. Oh, and by the way, my party people on YouTube, So for those of you that were interested in getting a free trial to my full program, no credit card required at all, feel free to go ahead and click this link in the chat box that I'm putting in right now. So free 7-day trial to the full program right there. All right, my party people, feel free to go ahead and use that, take advantage of that full 7 days, no credit card required. And I'm going to show you and prove to you that acing the ASVAB is absolutely possible if you have the right plan. All right, we still have about 30 seconds, guys. Keep up the great work. And there's your answer, or there's your time right there, my party people. So, in your honest opinion, was this any easier or harder for you after seeing what we just did? You did 5. Nice. It was easier for you. Okay. Let me go and get my face back into the picture. Okay. I see that you, okay, some of your confidence is going up. Feels easier. Okay, great. And also, just to address Malik, I'm going to address you directly. You do not need to apologize for asking questions. Everybody, is asking questions part of the learning process? Yes or no? Is asking questions part of the learning process? Yes or no? Right? Big time. There's a bunch of yeses, and I love the word big time there. So, Malik, don't ever apologize for asking questions. You're my student, and your classmates with everybody else. We're all here to learn. You asking a question is probably helping a few more people out who were too shy to ask that question to begin with. So, don't feel bad about it. I'm here to teach you. And if I'm just the type of teacher that just says, oh, don't get it? Sorry, moving on, you're not really learning. So, I want you to ask questions. I encourage you to ask questions because that's a big part of the learning process. Okay. So with that, let's go and get into it here, my party people. Let's go ahead. Let's go. So everybody, 20% of 150. There are 2 ways to set this up. The first way conveniently is, or not conveniently, but the first straightforward way is going to be 0.2 multiplied by 150. Because when you move the decimal place 2 times, 1, 2, you get 0.2. Did anybody do it that way? 0.2 times 150? Did anybody here do it that way? Great. So when you did it that way, right, we would have probably gotten, so 150 times 0.2. All we need to do is multiply and bring that decimal back at the end. So what we would see is 0 times 2. Let me use a different color. 0 times 2, that would be 0. 5 times 2, that would be 10. Carry the 1. 1 times 2 would be 2. And then carry the 1, that's 3. And then everybody, how many decimal places do we bring back here? We would just bring it back, yeah, 1 time. We would bring it back 1 time. And so that would be right here, right there, 30. And so our answer would be 30. But let's go ahead and think about it with mental math. Again, mental math, if you see a convenient percent like 20%, everybody, what do we know that we can say in terms of instead of doing the multiplication by the decimal, 20% of anything is the same as dividing by what? Exactly. 20% from 100, like that's times 5. But going backwards from 100 back to 20, that's dividing by 5. You can start at the original number, 100%, and you can divide it by 5 to get to that result that we want, the 20%. So what we will do, if we're going from the original to the result to divide by 5, well, the original, the 150, to the result will be dividing by 5. Everyone, right here. I'm going to say divided by 5 equals 20%. So quick question, everybody. What is 150 divided by 5. Look at how convenient that can be. If we understand, if we take the time to truly understand these convenient situations, you can save yourself a ton of time and avoid common mistakes when it comes to multiplying by decimals. Hey, right on. There we go. Now put that emoji back on. Put that celebration emoji back on. Go ahead, mommy. So with that, let's take a look next at this next problem here. Let's take a look here at 50% of 480. One way to do it, like we said before, move the decimal place twice to the left and we'll have 0.5 or 0.50, whichever way you want to say it. I'll use the more appropriate, convenient way. And that'll be times 480. But everybody, what did we say? 50% is a pretty convenient situation because to go from 100% down to 50%, that's the same thing as doing what? Yeah, taking it by half, dividing it by 2. Dividing by half is not appropriate. Dividing by half actually means multiplying by 2 because dividing by a fraction, keep, change, flip. So obviously it's a technicality, but dividing by 2 or cutting it in half, that works. So here, 480 divided by 2, what's that going to be? Yeah, 240. Booyah, there you go. 240. It's a very, very quick and convenient way to get it done. Let's take a look next at the following one. Let's say we're doing 2% of 36. 2% of 36. Let's try this out. So everyone, 2% of 36 written down with the decimal way would be 0.02. Be careful here. Again, if we have 2%, you move that decimal place over 2 times. 2 times. So here we go 1 and then 2. There's your decimal. Everyone, what did we say we would put when there's a gap like that? And that's the reason why, Muhammad. Let me know if that makes sense in the chat box. The reason we put that 0 there is because, again, sounds good. And we see that gap there, that's just a blank decimal or a 0. So boom, it'll be 0.02. And so that'll be times 36. And cool, we're good to go. So I'm going to show you both ways again. So the first way, we're going to do 36 times 0.02, which if we take a look at here, 6 times 2, that's going to be 12. 3 times 2, that'll be 6. Carry the 1 is 7. Everyone, how many decimal places do we move? Two times. So with that said, 1, 2, 1, 2. And so we get 0.72. Now, everyone, let's take a look at this other way here. What can we do to conveniently get 2%? What can we do to conveniently get to 2%? From 100%, what do we divide by to get to 2%? Gina says we can divide by 50. Like hearing that, Malik? Yep, we can divide by 50. Absolutely. Yeah. To go from 100 down to 2, that's dividing by 50. So with that, take a look here. I'm going to say that we can do 2% is the same as dividing by 50. It's the same thing. So what I'll do is I'll divide 36 by 50. 50 going into 36. And I put these decimal places there. Watch this. Everyone, 50 can't go into 3. 50 doesn't go into 36. How many times does 50 go into 360? How many times does 50 go into 360? That's going to be correct, 7. So we'll go ahead and plug 7 right here after the decimal place, 7. Because again, it doesn't go into 3, doesn't go into 36. So those are going to be zeros there. But then it goes into 360 7 times. And so boom, we did that. So 50 times 7 is 350. So that's going to be 10 left over. Bring down the 0. Everyone, how many times does 50 go into 100? 2 times. And so we'll plug in that 2 right there. And it's a clean division. That's a clean division. And that's 0. And notice how we get the answer right there, 0.72, 0.72. Both answers are the same. Kamani, I love that you pointed that out. I love that you pointed it out. So Kamani mentioned here that this takes more time than the original way. Who agrees here? Who agrees that this took longer than that? And I think that was Daniel that said that. Yeah, I'll go back to the chart in a moment. Cool. And I'm glad that you guys agree. Because remember, everybody, the point of learning these techniques is not to only use that technique all the time. Knowing multiple techniques allows you to say, hey, which method's more convenient, which one's faster in this moment, and let's go for it. And let's go for it. And there it is. Now, I want to show you one more thing because another student mentioned this, and I really want to make sure that you guys are ready to calculate, again, any which way that you want. And so if you can see what I'm about to show you, if you see how this works and you're like, oh, wait, there's some rhythm to that. That actually makes a little bit of sense, coach. I want you to get those ready in the chat box because we're going to go and have some fun with this. Okay, everyone, let's go ahead, pay nice and close attention, please. I don't know what just happened there, but whatever. Okay, cool. Where did that go? Whatever. So we have 0.72 is the answer, so I'm going to write that down. But I want to make sure you guys understand something here. Everyone, what's another way to get to 2%? Let's go ahead and think about 1%. If I was actually told to calculate, or if I actually calculated 1%, how do I go from 1% to 2%? What do I multiply by? That's a pretty hard question, right? What do I multiply 1% to get to 2%? Yeah, we will just multiply by 2. That didn't seem like a very sincere question. That almost sounded like a trick question, right? It wasn't a trick question. I'm just teaching you about the convenience between numbers. So here's what I'm saying. I could actually, instead of doing this, this is the same thing as 1% of 36 and then times 2. Because everybody, 1% and then doubling it, that's 2%. Agree or disagree? 1% times 2 gives you 2%. Great. And remember, everybody, doing 1% is the same as dividing by what? Doing 1% is the same as dividing by what? That's the same as dividing by 100. If I want to go from 100% to 1%, divide by 100. And dividing by 100 is the same as moving the decimal place twice to the left. And so guess what? This 1% of 36 straight up turns into 0.36. Mentally, I hope you can imagine that. Dividing by 100 just means, boop, 1, 2. That's what that means. Dividing by 100 just means moving that decimal place twice to the left. So that's that convenience right there. And then all you got to do is multiply by 2. Everyone, 36 times 2 is what? 36 times 2 is what? 72. And how many decimals are we going to move? How many decimal places do we move here again? 2. So we'll just write 72 with 2 decimal places moved over. 1, 2. So you get 0.72. And so that's one way that you can use convenience to do this mentally. Oh, I'm doing 2%? Well, I can just do 1% and times 2. That gives me 2%. Does that make a little more sense, my party people? Again, at the end of the day, 1% times 2, this equals 2%. That equals 2%. And it's just about noticing the convenience there when you can see it. Okay. Let's keep going ahead and reviewing here. Let's keep reviewing this. I'm glad that you guys are having a good time. But remember, the main thing about this is to be able to use this responsibly. When you notice a convenient situation, use it. Have fun. So for example, everybody, here's another example. 30% of 4,800. Everyone, is there a quick mental math way to do this with just one division? Can you go from 100 down to 30% with one division? You sure? I see a lot of yeses there. Because with 50%, divide by 2, 25%, divide by 4, Can you get from 100 to 30% in one clean division? No, you can't. You can't. If you're thinking divided by 3, no. 100 divided by 3 is 33.33333%. Not going to work. So here's what I noticed about this. Yes, I can simply go ahead and say this will be 0.3 times 4,800. That's one way to look at it. You can also look at it like this. 30% is the same thing as 10% times 3. Yes or no, is that correct, everybody? Is 30% 10% times 3? Sweet. So do that mentally. Do that mentally right there. So what you'll have is, okay, what's 10% of 4,800? Well, that's going to end up being dividing by 10. So that ends up being 480. And then we go ahead and multiply by the 3. So we can make it 30% because the 480 is just 10%. So we do 480 times 3. 0, 8 times 3 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12. Carry the 2, 14. And there it is, 1440. And you're good. Or, again, you can do it the straightforward way. This is still A-okay. 4,800 times 0.3. Take a look at the similarities here. Just missing the extra 0, but you're also missing a decimal. You have the decimal with the extra 0. It's going to cancel itself out anyway. And so guess what? 0 times 3 is 0. 0 times 3 is 0. 8 times 3 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12. Carry the 2 is 14. And so from here, the same ending. We go ahead and say that we have no decimals there, one decimal there. Move it back, and we get 1440 in either case. Again, everybody, is this making a little more sense? Is it becoming a little more convenient for you? Like, there's a reason I'm taking my time on this. Has anybody here, or is anybody here starting to realize that some of the questions that you faced on the ASVAB or the practice test, they probably could have used some of these convenient situations? Are you noticing that? And there we go. Like, that's really all this class is really about. Hey, we're going to learn these fundamentals in and out like the back of our hands, because that's what you need to do to be prepared fully. So lastly, we have these two over here on the left. So if we're doing 4% of 725, two ways to do it. Two ways. It can be 0.04 times 725, or it could have been 725 divided by what, everybody? 725 divided by what? Gina. Yeah, Ron, that's right, 25. That is correct. Because 4% is dividing by 25. 100 down to 4, you divide by 25. And so either way will work. Either way will. 725 times 0.04. We get 20 right there. Carry the 2. Going to get 8. Carry the 2 is 10. 7 times 4, 28. Carry the 1 is 29. So we get 2,900. But we have 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places. And we get 29. If you wanted to do it the other way, 725 divided by 25, right over here. Check it out. 25 goes into 7, 0 times. 25 goes into 72, twice. So it's going to be 50. Subtract that 50, we get 22. Bring down the 5, and we have 225. 25, 50, 75, 100. 125, 150, 175, 200. So that's 8 so far. 225 would be 9. And there we go. And so notice it might have been faster for you to just multiply by the 0.04. Might have been. Might have been. It's up to you to make the decision. Once you have enough practice, you'll know which ways might be easier than the other. But regardless, again, we get the same answer. Yeah, if it was 726, that would end up being something to the effect of 29.04. That'd be 29.04. So Krishan, again, the 25 comes from the idea that percents, they're pretty much ratios. So if you're going from 100% down to 4%, that's dividing by 25. So to go from the original to the result, divide by 25. They are both meaning the same exact thing. And so then the last one here for the 180, we can have 15% of 180. And I got you, Aaliyah, right after this one. So 15% of 180, we can turn that into 0.15 times 180, which would end up being like this. And we go through it, and we would have 0 times 5, 0. 8 times 5 would be 40. 1 times 5 is 5. Carry the 4 is 9. Then we have the next 0 here. 0 times 1, 8 times 1, 1 times 1. Add that together. 0, 0, 7, and 2. Carry the decimal back twice. And we have 27. Now, here's another way to do this one. Here's a really quick way to do this one, actually. So, everyone, did I give you a convenient, and let me show you the division chart again. Here's the convenient mental math percentages chart again. Do you see 15% here? Do you see 15% there? No, I don't see it. I see 5, 10, 20%, but I don't see 15. You want to know what we can do? We can combine 10% and 5%. That's one thing you can do if you want to do this mentally. Let me show you what I mean. And hopefully you have enough time to take a screenshot here. But let me show you what I mean. If I want to go ahead and make this a lot easier myself, look at this. Everyone, what's 10% of 180? What's 10% of 180? Who knows what that is? Right, that's the same thing as dividing by 10. 10% is the same as dividing by 10. 100 down to 10, divide by 10. So 180 divided by 10 is going to be 18. That's pretty easy. I can do that in my head. Yeah. Okay. I'm still missing that extra 5% though. So let me go ahead and write that down. If 10% is 18, what would 5% be? What would 5% be? I see Jaylene gets it. Muhammad, Rachel. How do we get 9? Well, everybody think about it like this. If 10% refers to 18, 5%, half of 10, going down from 10 to 5 is half of it. What's half of 18? 9. That's going to be 9. Because think about it. If we're going from 10 to 5, that's dividing by 2. That's dividing by 2. So guess what? Now that we have all of this set up, guess what, my party people? 10% and 15%, or 10% and 5%, excuse me, makes 15%. You can do this in your head. 10% is 18, 5% is half that, so 9. 18 plus 9 is what? 18 plus 9 is what? 27. And there it is. And there it is. You get the same exact answer. One way you have the opportunity to do it mentally. The other way you can do it directly. Depends on who you are, which one might take longer than the other. But again, we have both methods. Yes or no? Is this making a little more sense? Or did this make sense at all? Did that crazy mental math right there make sense? Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And again, even if it's not making total sense, if you know that first way over there, if you know that first way to do it, stick to it. Stick to it, man. And again, over time, we'll continue practicing and practicing and practicing, where we'll start seeing, hey, okay, maybe that might make sense. But if right now we've learned the first technique and you're feeling confident about that, that's still a success. That's still a success. Jeremiah, exactly. Like if you like the first technique, you like it. But I do encourage you over time to continue trying things out. So with that said, I want to go ahead and give you guys a chance to practice now. Which method do you like better right now? Do you like the straight up multiplication or do you like the mental math more? All right, great. Okay. So here we go. I think we're gonna have we're gonna have 4 problems per slide here. So 4 problems. I'll go ahead and give you 2 total minutes. I want you to try to, at the very least, get 2 out of the 4 questions. If you get all 4 of them, excellent. My goal is try to get 2. And let me take a pause here for a brief moment. For those of you that are in the program, whether it's the trial or the full program, remember that we have those speed drills, right? So has anybody here ever been frustrated doing a speed drill in the program because they got maybe, only 2 or 3 questions in the whole thing out of the whole 10? Right? That's been frustrating. That can be frustrating. So let me go ahead and tell you exactly how you want to handle those moments. Here's why the math basics and all those speed drills that I've given you in all the courses, here's why they work so well and how to use them the right way. Number 1, if you try it out for the first time and you only get 1 or 2 questions, well, here's your next goal. Your goal is going to be take it again. Try to get 3 questions right next time. Try to consistently get 3. Then take it again and again and again. Try to get 4, then 5, then 7, then 8, then 10. Start slow. Make sure that you know how to do it first and then speed up. If you try to speed up before you're comfortable, just think about driving a car. Before I'm comfortable driving, is it safe to slam the gas? Probably not, right? We want to make sure we know what we're doing before we try to do it fast. So that way we can be safe about it and we can be comfortable and confident at the end of the day. Same thing here. Just do what you can in the 2 minutes. And then the next round, try to do more. Try to do more. So here we go. 2 minutes again, 2 minutes total. You guys ready? I got you. Cool. So let's try it out here. 2 minutes starting now. Timer started. Let me move it over here so you can see it. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Type ready when you're ready. And that is time. Boom. There it is. There it is. How are we feeling about this one, guys? How are we feeling about this one? Were we confident going through the problems that we did? Okay, we got 3. Nice. Nice. All 4. Again, excellent. And if you got even one of them and you did one and you got it right, that's still success. Like that's still progress being made because I'm hoping that we're able to just take it to the next step in terms of what our understanding was at the beginning of class versus where we are now. So here we go. Let's go ahead and go through these very, very quickly. If you're just going through these and you're just blowing through them because you have no time to waste on the ASVAB, this is how it would look most likely. 138, 13% of that. Okay. That's what it would look like. And so setting it up, 138. And I'm going to go quickly and confidently. 8 times 3, 24. 3 times 3 is 9. Carry the 1 is 11. 3 plus 1 is 4. Bring down the 0. 8 times 1. 3 times 1. 1 times 1. Add it back together. We have ourselves 4, 9, 7, 1. 2 decimals, none there, 2 there. Boom, 17.94. And that'll be your answer. Anybody here do it differently? Or did we do it just like that? Did it the same way, Eduardo? Just like that? Okay, cool. Like, was there a convenient mental math way to do this one? Was there a convenient mental math way to do that? I mean, not exactly. Because like you can try to start off with 10%, but then what about the 3%? You got to do 1% then times 3. Not really a convenient way to do this, right? Not really a convenient way. We just have to go ahead and calculate, do it quickly, and own it. There we go. That's a perfect example. You'll see stuff like that all the time. Yeah, the first technique was faster. Next up, I'm doing 23% of 84 minutes. Same idea. Same idea. There's nothing really convenient for 23%. Maybe you can do 20%, and then maybe you can go ahead and find 3%. But that's a lot of work to do in your head. So easily here, I'm going to go ahead and just say 0.23 times 84. I'll go for it. Yeah, you could split it if you want to. You could, but it's going to be way longer to do. So here, 84 times 0.23. And let's get after it. 4 times 3, that's going to be 12. Carry the 1. 8 times 3 is 24. Carry the 1 is 25. Next up, bring a 0 down. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Great. Bring that back. Add it up. And you have 2, 13, 9, and 1. 2 decimal places. Right there. 19.32. So far, have you gotten both of these correct yet? Great. Sounds good. Sounds good. Let's go ahead and try out this next one here then. This next one, what do we have? Okay, we have 99% of 150. Everybody, is there a convenient way to do this one? Is there a convenient way to do this one? Go ahead, describe it in the chat box. I'm going to give it a second for this one. Is there a convenient way to do this one? Is there a convenient way to go down from 100 to 99? Yes, exactly. So there's 2 ways that we can do this. One way is going to be the direct way of doing 0.99 times 150. That's the first way to do it. Arguably, that could be the most convenient way, but there is a mental math way that you can do this. First, I'm going to show you what the answer is. Then I'm going to show you how mental math can get you to the answer right away. So again, I haven't done the math yet, but 99% of 150, that looks like the answer is going to be 148.50. Doing it mentally, you should have gotten 148.5. So let's show you how we get there. Okay, 150. It's okay, Kayla. Welcome in, Kayla. So we have 150.99. Watch this. This can be a little cumbersome, but it's still doable. 0 times 9. 5 times 9. 1 times 9 is 9. Carry the 4 is 13. Next up, I'm going to put a 0 down. 0 times 9, 0. 5 times 9 is 45. Carry the 4 again. 1 times 9 is 9. Carry the 4 is 13. Add that all back. We end up getting 0, 5, 8, 4, and 1. Everybody, how many decimal places are we going back? 2. We have the decimal there. Then we have 1, 2 there. Boom, boom. And so we end up getting 148.5 or 0.50, whichever way you want to say it. Since it's money, I'll go ahead and leave it as 0.50. And there we have it. So does anybody here, who here knows what the mental math way is? Yes or no? Give me yes, be honest. If you don't know what I'm about to do, say no. Because I want to see how many brains are going to be spread out over the floor, because this might be something interesting to you. It might be interesting. Okay, cool. Got a lot of people saying no. All right, got to turn y'all into believers. Let's go. Mathematics. Let's have a good time. Everybody, is it true that to get to 99%, is it true that 99% is 100% minus 1%? Is that how we can get to 99%? Is that true? Okay, great. It is. Right? Because if you're doing 100 minus 1, that is 99. Okay, cool. So all you got to do now is use the proper representation. Everybody, 100% always represents the what number? Starts with the O. 100% always represents the what? 100%. Yeah, the OG, the original. Exactly. 100% always represents the original number. What's the original number that we're taking the percent of here? What's the original number that we're taking the percent of? Yeah, the 150. Okay, take a look at this, everybody. Take a look at this. 100%. That is the 150. What's 1% of 150, everybody? Oh, yeah, that's dividing by 100. And dividing by 100, that's just moving the decimal place over 2 times. So then isn't it true, everybody, that 1%, isn't it true that 1% would end up being 1.5? Is that true? Is that true? Is that true? Yeah. Remember, 1% is the same as divided by 100. You just move the decimal place over 2 times to the left. 150 divided by 100, boop, boop, 1.5. So you can do this in your head, everybody. 150 minus $1.50. So take away $1 first, 149. Then take away the 50 cents, 148 and 50 cents. And there you are. And that's something that you could do in your head. You could technically do that in your head by saying, hey, 100 minus 1 is 99. The 100% is the 150. 1% of that is $1.50. Take away $1, take away 50 cents. Boom. Same answer. Same answer. Different ways to do it. Does that give you guys a little more confidence moving forward with this? Or is this still confusing in terms of the mental math techniques? Does this give us any more confidence than it did before? Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, this is all over the AR section. Yeah, this is all over. Learning percents is all over the AR section. Absolutely. If you know how to do percents and calculate with them, you can do the word problems way easier. Way easier. All right, cool. I love that, Malik. Yep, nothing is confusing with practice. So with that said, I want you to pay attention to what we did here because that's the first time today that we've done this. And knowing that, so everybody, have you ever seen problems that say, what is 190 minus 10%? Or what happens if you take away 30% from a number? Have you seen those problems before? Because that's what this is. That's exactly what we just did here. And so if you've seen those types of problems, knowing how to do it like this, you're going to see that you're going to have a much easier time when we start working on problems that involve taxes and discounts. You're going to learn that that's going to be so much easier when you get there. Promise you that. So lastly, let's go ahead and go over the 55% of 90. So again, I'm not going to do the mental math technique for this one because it's just going to be 50% and 5%. So that'll be $45 and $4.50 or 4.5, giving you 49.5. That's the mental math way to do it. Again, 50% and 5%. 50 is half, so 45. 5% is a tenth of that, so 4.5, 49.5. Or doing it normally like a normal person, which I encourage you to know how to do. Boom, right there. So we do 90 times 0.55. 0 times 5, 0. 9 times 5 is 45. Carry the 0. 0 times 5 is 0. 9 times 5 is 45. 0, 5, 9, 4. Moving the decimal place over 2 times. 49.5. So again, with mental math, you probably could have done it a lot faster, but it still wouldn't have taken that much time, even if you did it with paper and pencil. So with that said, how many did you get right, my party people? How many did you get right? Okay. Sounds good. And even, yeah, Kayla, you just stepped in, so it's all good. But even if we got one, even if we were able to just set up one and kind of go through it with one technique or both, like that's a good thing. I know it's going to take time to learn from scratch, but a lot of you guys are doing a really good job of adapting to these circumstances. Great job so far, seriously. So with that, yeah, for sure you got to take your time to practice, for sure. So right here. Just a couple of reminders because we're going to go ahead and go through some more timed practice. Let me just double check here. Okay, great. So the first thing that I want to do with these notes here, because these are just some reminders, but one thing that I want to really go over with you is the setup. Way too important to know this. So, for example, has anybody here ever had trouble with understanding if the problem is asking you to find the result or if it's asking you to find the original number? Has anybody here ever had trouble with that? Understanding if the problem is asking you to find the result or the original, going forward or backwards? Okay, so thanks for admitting that. Like that's a pretty common problem. Pretty common problem. So because it is 13 till the class is over, I do want to make sure I start setting you up for understanding this. And in tomorrow's class, we're going to dive headfirst into this right before the word problems. It's a simple thing to do, but I want to start setting you up to understand whether you're going for the original or the result. So, question, everybody: with the original number, are we, or which one? Excuse me, which one are we taking the percent of? The original number or the result? Which one are we taking the percent of? The original number or the result? Right, it's going to be the original. We're always taking the percent of the original. So here's one thing I want to show you about these problems here. I want to show you why this is a little bit different in terms of what you're looking for. So look at it like this, everybody. Look at this first one. 1% of what is 150? Let's translate that into math here. Let's do a pure translation. Watch this. So everyone, 1%, if I turn that into a decimal, what would that be again? 1% would be 0.01 or 0.01, whichever way you want to say it. But that would be 0.01, not 0.1, 0.01. We move it twice. 1, 2, there's a 0 right there. So 0.01. Everyone remind me, the word of means what again? Okay, means multiplication. And then the word what, that's typically a placeholder, right? Like a variable or something that we don't know. So I'm going to say, okay, the word what, I'm going to say, put in a blank, times what, whatever. Everyone, what does the word is translate to in math? What does the word is translate to? Equals. And then the 150 is clearly a number that's given to us. So I'll just write 150. Okay. That wasn't terrible, right? That wasn't terrible. All we did was just translate the English into math. The 1% turn it to its decimal form. The word of turns into multiply. The what is just a placeholder for a variable or something we don't know. The word is means equals. And the 150 is just 150. So everybody, is it clear that when we look at our formula, isn't the formula always the percent times the original equals the results? Is that true? Is that true here? Oh, yeah. So notice that here, you're looking for the original. Take a look at that. Looking for the original. Now, we're not going to do the calculations quite yet, okay? I want to first set you up by first knowing that you're looking for the original or the result, and then we'll go into the calculating, okay? And then we will get into the calculating. So, again, next part here, let's take a look at the 24 tons is 96% of what? Let me just show you again the translation. So 24 tons. Okay, I'll go ahead and say 24. Everyone help me out. The word is means what? The word is means equals, correct. 96%, what's that going to turn into? What does 96% turn into? Thank you, Gina. Perfect. 0.96, 0.96. Everyone, the word of means what? The word of means multiply, correct? And then lastly, we got ourselves over here, the word what? And so that's going to be a placeholder. And that'll be the original number because, again, the percent of the original. is equals the result. So yes, it's backwards, but everybody, is it true that 1 plus 1 equals 2 is the same as saying 2 equals 1 plus 1? You can just swap them over. It's the same thing, right? Because it is an equal sign. So it's the same thing, everybody. It's the same thing. The result equals the percent of the original. It's the same exact formula. Sorry for the double dots on the I, but it's the same, and it's the same thing. So I'm trying to help you avoid, getting into those tricky situations where you're doubting yourself and you take a guess and you hope for the best. We don't want that. We want to be confident in terms of knowing what we're looking for. And does it make sense that in both of these examples, yeah, we are looking for the original? Is that clear now by the setup? Now, to solve them, we're going to have to work backwards and divide, but I'll go ahead and show you what I mean there. But here we go. This last one here. 32 pounds is 50% of what? Well, write it down. Nice and easy. Here we go. 32 pounds. Okay, 32. Then we see the word is. Okay, so that equals. Then it says 50%. So that would turn into 0.5. The word of means multiply. So we'll go ahead and put the multiplication symbol. And then it says what? Okay, great. And then that'll be right there blank. But we know that the percent of the original, 50% of the original, that's what's going to give us the results. So I really hope that we notice here in all three of these situations, we're looking for the original. Does that make sense, everybody? In all three of these situations, we're looking for the original. Now, the last exercise that I want to take you through before we call this lesson a day and we move into tomorrow's lesson is this. I want to go ahead and present to you, I think it's 3 problems. Yeah, I want to present to you 3 problems. The goal is not to find the answer. Again, the goal is not to find the answer. The goal is simply this. Can you tell me whether I'm looking for the original or the result? One more time. I just want you to tell me if the problem is asking you to find the original or the result. Here we go. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Go. That's all I want you to tell me. In the first, second, and third problem, are we looking for the original or the result in each? Don't reveal the answer. Just type ready when you're ready. Let me put the 1 minute timer up right now. Give it a shot here. Tell me if we're looking for the original or the result. $20 seconds here. So far, so good, guys. Keep it up. Don't give out the answer, though. Don't give away your answers. And remember, if you are looking forward to trying the program out for free, I'm going to give you a link to start your trial right now. And if you have already done your trial and you want to upgrade to the full program, I'll go ahead and give you a nice discount code too. So go ahead and hold on. That's 1 second left and time. So let's go ahead and go over this. Plain and simple, every single one of these is having you find the original. All of them. All of them are trying to find you, or having you find the original. So watch. 2% of what? 2% of what? So that's the percent of the original. Remember, you're always taking the percent of the original. So this what right there, you're looking for the original. If you're going to the next one here, 18 grams of, or excuse me, 18 grams is 30% of the original. Of what? 30% of what? 30% of the original. Next up, over here, 116 meters is 58% of the original. Exactly, Linda. It helps you very straightforwardly, very easily identify which one the original is and which one the result is. So in these cases, all three of these were all original. Now, in the next lesson coming up tomorrow, 6 p.m., same time, we're going to go ahead and learn how to actually do the calculation and dividing by a decimal. And then after that, we're good. We're going to be tackling word problems up and down, left and right. It's going to be a really, really, really good time. Exactly, Mohammed. That's correct. No, because they could say, what is 30% of 10? If I said, what is 30% of 10, what's 30% of 10? So that's the original. So when I say, what is that? I'm looking for the result. And I'm looking for the result in that case. So we're going to go over this again tomorrow. We're going to have plenty more opportunities to continue learning. As you can see behind me, there's a ton that we have to do. But I really want to make sure that I cap off the class and close off at the right appropriate time. So we have about 3 minutes left here, my party people. So for those of you that stay for the majority of class, how was this for you? How do you feel about this so far? How has your opinion of dealing with percents changed? Awesome first day. I'm glad you came, Malik. Helpful. You liked it. Need more practice for sure. And again, section 4, arithmetic reasoning bootcamp, section 4, that's going to deal with percents. So everything we learned today and everything you could possibly learn to understand with percents is in there, including resources, worksheets, speed drills, guided practice, lessons. All of it's in there. All of it's in there. So for those of you that joined us today, and this was your first class, I really do hope that made you feel good about your ability and the possibility of passing the ASVAB. Because at the end of the day, remember that you're the one that controls your attitude. You're the one that controls your ability to pass by just focusing on one thing at a time. We spent 2 hours on just percents and those fundamentals. And I hope that after these 2 hours, we're feeling a lot more confident in terms of where we were before. And that's how it's going to be for all the other topics. It is doable. We just have to approach it the right way. So again, I appreciate you guys for showing up. For those of you that are in the full program or in the trial, either one, we're going to be going in tomorrow again at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. So get ready for a good time there. If you haven't heard of the program or you want to try out for free for a full week, or if you've already been in the trial and you want to upgrade to the full program, just go ahead and stick around for a few moments and I'm going to get you all set up. Louis, I appreciate you, man. You two ready? Or Remy, excuse me. Let me go ahead and bring this trial up here. So everybody who is interested in the program trial, let me go ahead and help you guys out here. So remember that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure to go with the math basics. Start there first, okay? So for those of you that suffer from test anxiety, for anybody here who has issues with timing on the tests, feeling like you're running out of time very often, or for those of you that are looking at this and you blank out at word problems and you're not quite confident with it, or if you feel like you're just kind of studying alone and there's no one really to tell you when you're supposed to be ready for the ASVAB, this is going to help you out a lot. And so I don't want to waste a lot of time. But long story short, if you feel like you had a good time today and you want to keep the good going, join the program, because it's not even just about the live classes. You get all the recordings. You get everything you could possibly ask for to succeed. All the classes, all the recordings, 15,000 practice questions, video solutions, step-by-step walkthroughs, texting me whenever you need help, progress reports on a weekly basis. Seriously, this is meant to help you succeed. So I want you guys to sign up now, get started, and have a good time. For those of you that want to go ahead and make the purchase directly, I am offering these pretty crazy discounts. So feel free to use these discounts for those subscriptions. You can do monthly, yearly, or lifetime. Typically, people go with the monthly or the yearly, and I do offer the upgrade to the lifetime at a nice discount as well. So here is the link to try the trial out, and here is the link to go to the full program. Right there. So those are the two links in the chat box. Again, guys, if you do see that this program could definitely work for you and you want to go straight to the purchase, there it is right there, asvab.info/classes. And then from there, sign up and raise your score, pick a plan, and you're good. The monthly is it's always low price of $60 a month. And the yearly, you can get $150 off, or the lifetime, you can get $200 off if you like it like that. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, let me go ahead and copy this over to the YouTube chat so you can go ahead and take advantage there. But again, at the very least, I really want you guys to try the 7-day free trial at the very least, for the simple reason being that I want you to see how it works before you pay a dime. I know that this works. I'm happy to prove it to you. But if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know in the chat box, okay? Right there. Right on, Reese. That confidence changed a lot from the beginning of class. Yeah, McCall, I'll see you in class tomorrow. Or Michael, excuse me. Right on, Mohammed. See you tomorrow, Adrian. I'll see you, Damien. Perfect. Yep. And for the subscription, yeah, if you have a question on that, yeah, you can cancel whenever. You just log into your account and hit cancel and you're fine. Yeah, super straightforward. But again, make sure you start that trial for sure, man. If you're looking to experience what a program is supposed to feel like to help you succeed, definitely go ahead and do the trial. Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Absolutely welcome. I'm not sure if that's short for. No, Avi, that's not short for Olivia. I'm just taking guesses now. But you guys are absolutely welcome for the class tonight. Again, every single day we're doing something. We're helping you guys succeed. So if you have any questions at all, let me know. Again, make sure to. Sounds good, Usher. Usher, if you want to go ahead and just drop your email, just reply to this directly. Reply to that with your email. I'll double check that your trial started, because if you received the welcome email and welcome text, yep, it started. Land is 3 classes per week. 3 classes per week. Yeah, Usher, I think I saw you sign up earlier. Let me double check here. I got you. So Alex, I do not see that your trial was started. I saw that you made an account, but I didn't see you complete the trial. So if you want to complete the trial process, all you got to do is go through the right there. Yeah, you just need to go ahead and fill out the form and follow the instructions to a T. Right there. Perfect. So Malika, you're good. You signed up for the full program already. You're absolutely set. Mohammed, hopefully you signed up there. Perfect. So I want you guys all to go ahead and take a moment and go ahead and start that trial right now. It's completely free, no credit card required. And I'm going to show you exactly how to raise your score the best way possible. I got you. Perfect. Sweet. Yeah, have a great night, everybody. You guys are all awesome. So remember, guys, I'm here to help you raise your score and get the job you want. That's my goal. That's my goal. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to go ahead and reach out to me. My phone number is 567. I can actually put my phone number right there. Well, and there it is. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to shoot me a text. I was trying to find the right one here on the program that I use, but feel free, shoot me a text. My number is 567-698-8867. Feel free to shoot me a text, okay? If you're doing the trial and you just started the trial, text me letting me know that you're all set up. If you're doing the full program and you're just signing up right now, text me. I got you. I want to make sure I connect with you. Remember that the students that communicate with me the most, they always end up passing. So it's up to you to just follow the plan, sit down and get to work, and communicate with me whenever you have any questions. I'm here for you. So, Dominic, you have a good night, man. I love you. And same thing with you, Waynell. How can you switch subjects? We typically do a different topic every class. So when I do a part 1 and part 2, typically I don't want to just take 2 hours and try to get through it all, but instead take 2 classes, take our time, and actually master it at the end of it. So typically you'll see me do a part 1 and part 2 for math. Wednesdays typically is English, word knowledge, or paragraph comprehension. This week, we actually have 4 classes, very rare, but we do have 4 classes where we're going to be doing 2 maths and 1 word knowledge, 1 paragraph comprehension. Right on. So that's quite a few of you. So for those of you that started your trials, there you go. I'm glad you guys have started up the right way. Make sure to read that confirmation text and confirmation email, not the code, but the actual welcome text. Follow that to a T. I make it so easy to follow. All you got to do is follow the plan. All right. Hey, you're welcome. Well, I got your back. I got your back. So you guys stay awesome. Stay blessed. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And for sure, you won't regret it. So start up. Let's get to it. Let's ace the ASVAB, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's class where we have part 2 with word problems. See you guys. You guys are absolutely awesome. I'm going to close the room down here, and I'm going to close the room for YouTube in a moment. See you guys. Have a good night. I'll see you in tomorrow's class. There we go, my YouTube party people. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's class. Stay awesome again. Stay humble. If you have any questions, again, there's my number, 567-698-8867. Stay awesome, guys, and I'll see you in tomorrow's class.